To the surprise of like everyone who knows me, I actually have pretty bad social anxiety. But I've always loved being around people. I love big spaces and crowded spaces and big clubs. And most importantly, I love being around people who are different than me in some way, whether in community or ideology. So, I went to the University of Virginia, which was also the topic of my last Rounded Box story. And while I was there, I do what I do best, which is getting into fights with people in group chats. Specifically, people were trying to change something around the punishment that we had at UVA's honor code, partly because this policy was discriminatory against students of color, but also because everyone was trying to make a difference after COVID, so cut me some slack. And I am very not conservative, but the more conservative people at the school were really fighting in favor of this policy. So for the older members of the audience, a group chat fight might mean nothing, but for Gen Z, this is war. Jabs are being thrown left and right in the form of snarky comments and damning screenshots. And one of conservatism's strongest warriors that day was someone with the screen name Viv. So since I love getting into political fights with people, I also joined a debate club. And a week after the Great Group Me War of 2022, we were introducing new members. And I went up to this girl that I had interviewed. And she was being loud and talking really boisterously about how she had hooked up with one of the school's most infamous conservatives. And so I was infatuated with her right away. So we bonded over our collective love of men who aren't good for us. And afterwards, we were talking about the Great Group Me War, and we bonded over our experience being soldiers. And so, she was talking about how she was really backing up this guy that she had hooked up with. And at this point, I remember her name. Her name is Vivian. When I found this out, I think I literally grabbed her and I said, I am so happy that I met you and I'm so glad that you joined. Vivian then convinced me and my boyfriend at the time to drive a quarter of the way to Washington, D.C. to go to a strip club for the first time. And we only got up until that point until we realized maybe that's not a good idea. And we drove back home. Me and Vivian were inseparable, though, after that point for the rest of the time that she was at UVA. Vivian and me did not agree on anything politically, but we didn't have to agree because Vivian is the most interesting person that I have ever met. Vivian has met multiple billionaires, and she entered into college with enough credits to be considered a junior, so she graduated only a year after we met.
Wow.
Vivian, every time we hung out, would inject these weight loss supplements that she got imported from Turkey. I don't know whether it was legal or what the formula was, but I do know that it did work. Vivian was so obsessed with the president of our debate club. After they hooked up, she crashed out so badly that it politically changed the trajectory of the entire organization. After Vivian graduated, she went to the Harvard Education School. And when I asked her if she even wanted to be a teacher, she told me that it was mainly because she wanted to find a husband at Harvard.
Oh.
And most importantly for the rest of this story, Vivian, when she was at UVA, got a bird named Edgar Allan Poe that she got simply because she wanted a bird. And so this bird became the impromptu mascot of the club for the rest of the time that she was there. So at the end of the spring semester, we were saying goodbye to our older members that were graduating. And this is a really long process. People love to wax poetic when they're graduating from college, especially if they're liberal arts students with a barista job due. I told Vivian that this is going to be a really long process, but she insisted on bringing Edgar with her. And this was the type of club where people were going in and out, in and out, in and out. So when she left to get some fresh air, I didn't think anything of it. The meeting eventually did end, and so I was helping clean up the hall, and what do mine eyes see? But Edgar, all alone in his cage. No Vivian. This was very curious to me. Vivian is flighty and very adventurous, but she never leaves her bird. She loves her bird. So I call her. No response. My boyfriend calls her. No response. Our friends call her. No response. I'm starting to panic at this point, so I drag my boyfriend 15 minutes to her apartment to check on her to see if she just went home. We knock on the door. No response. I call her roommate. No response. At this point, I am in full panic mode. My friend is missing, and her parakeet is the only evidence of her existence. So what happens next? I still contemplate if this is an overreaction, but it felt appropriate for the time. I call the police. I start a mini investigation into the disappearance of my friend. The police come in and they open up her apartment to see if everything looks normal. Everything does look normal. She's just not there. They ask us the last time that we saw her, and we tell them about the club meeting. They then ask about the bird and how the bird is involved. We don't have a good answer to that question, other than that's her pet. After the police were called, everyone in the debate club was made aware of the investigation and had a part to play. They asked the president about it. CCTV footage was found around the area, and saw that she had left with one member of the club and then two other girls that I didn't know. And I was up until 4 a.m. just worried, and I went to bed. When I eventually went to bed, I was just wondering if she was all right. And I wake up to her calling me. She's calling me from the Instagram app because she has lost her phone. She tells me what happened is that she snuck away to make out with that one member that we saw on CCTV footage. She found two random girls, left to go streak with them. Then she dropped her phone on the lawn. And then she left to go stay over at one of the girls' apartments. So I asked her, probably what many of you guys are thinking, why'd you leave your damn bird? And she told me that she thought the meeting was gonna last longer because of me, and she felt comfortable leaving him with us. So her name's not actually Vivian, but when I send this to her later, she's gonna find it funny that I did feel the need to change my name. And Vivian told me one time that I was, quote, the one leftist that she didn't want to punch. Now Vivian is one of the only conservatives that I can stand to be around. She's also the person that taught me that I could love somebody so much that I stopped an entire town for them. Thank you.